In this video, I'll cover if statements in PHP. Now, if statements are just a way we can control code execution based on certain conditions. Let's look at an example to demonstrate. Imagine we want to display a personalized greeting depending on what time of day it is. If it's morning, we'll say good morning, and so forth. We can first start by creating our PHP tags, and inside we'll create a variable called time and set it equal to the return value of date with the argument of h, which will return the current time in 24-hour format. Now we can start writing our if statement, with the keyword if followed by opening and closing parentheses and opening and closing curly braces. Now inside of the parentheses is where our conditional will go, and a conditional is just an expression that is evaluated to true or false. In this case, we want to evaluate if time is less than 12. Now if that expression returns true, we input what we want to do in between the curly braces. So here, I'll say echo good morning. You can put multiple things as long as they're in between the set of curly braces. However, we also want to test and see if it's afternoon, and we can do so with else if. Else if allows us to compare another conditional inside of an if statement, and you can have multiple else ifs inside of an if statement, but you can only have one if and one else, and we'll get to else in a moment. Inside of the else if, we want to test and see if time is less than 18. If it is, we'll echo good afternoon. Else, we'll echo good evening. Now else will only execute if the previous two statements return false. Also take note that else if can be written in two formats when using curly braces. The format we currently have with a space and with no space, and they both function just the same. Now if we save and switch over to our browser, we get good afternoon. That's because it's going based off of UTC time, which at the current time of recording is 3:50 p.m. However, if we switch back to our editor, there's actually another way we can write if statements. Instead of using curly braces, we can actually omit those and use colons like so. Do note that when using colons, there are a few differences. Else if can only be written in this format. If you were to try and add a space in between, it would provide a syntax error. And at the end of your if statement, you also need to add an end if followed by a semicolon. And just to show that it works just the same, let's switch over and we get the same result. However, we can take this a step further. When using colons in multiple PHP tags, we're actually able to include HTML elements inside of our conditionals, giving us more flexibility when outputting to the screen. Now if we switch over to our browser, we get good afternoon as an H1. If you want to learn more PHP, check out this video.